Well, the end of the Premier League season has come to a close. Manchester City winning the title. In this video, though, we have to go over team of the season. Though we are only picking one player per club, otherwise it'd pretty much be Manchester City and Liverpool with sprinkling in Chelsea players. So let's jump right into it. So in this video for team of the season, I will be picking one player starting from the lowest club and working my way up. So Manchester City will be the last player added to my team of the season. Now the first team happens to be Southampton with James Ward-Prowse. Now he had the following stats, which is why I picked him in the starting 11. 36 matches played, 10 goals, 5 assists, 259 recoveries. Now, obviously, this does not paint the entire picture for this player, nor will it be for all our players that are going to be on this list. But James Ward-Prowse was probably one of the best players that played for Southampton, not only this season, but the last couple of seasons. He's an engine for this team, and definitely without him, they would struggle. Solid free kick taker, scored multiple free kicks this season, obviously last season, the season before that, but this guy is just phenomenal when it comes to the midfield. Now, following him then, we will be going to Aston Villa. Now, this is where it gets tricky because there are players that I want to play in different positions, but like I said, I can only pick one player at a time, and therefore I pick a right back here, and that's Matthew Cash from Aston Villa. Now, he had the following stats: 38 matches played, 4 goals, 3 assists, and 10 clean sheets. Now, I know, there are definitely better right backs in the Premier League. TAA, Reece James, just to name 2 players that are better than him. But like I said, I can only pick one player per club, and therefore this is why I picked Matty Cash. Now, he did play 38 games. Now, that by itself for any defender is a huge phenomenon to do itself, but he also scored quite a few goals. Again, had some assists, and 10 clean sheets for Aston Villa is pretty good. Now, I know he's not the only defender, but again, he was very fluid on that right side for Steven Gerrard's squad, and again, I think he deserves to make into the starting 11. Now, following him then, we go to Wolves. Now, this really shouldn't be a surprise because Wolves themselves are more defensive mindset, so you would expect to see defender, if not the goalkeeper, and that is who I picked, Jose Sa from Wolves. Now, his stats were the following: 37 matches played, 1 assist surprisingly, 11 clean sheets, and 121 saves. Now, this player by himself definitely helped Wolves secure a lot of points throughout this entire season, which is why I picked him in this squad. Following our goalkeeper, we now move to the left back. Now, this one, again, I really wanted to pick a few different players, but again, I had to think about the rest of the squad, and therefore very difficult to, again, pick a left back. But Cucurella from Brighton, I think, did a fairly good job this entire season. I'm not too sure if he will stay there next season because he's been on the radar for a lot of other clubs. Now, his stats were the following, which is why I picked him: 35 matches played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 8 clean sheets, 247 recoveries. Now, again, this is another instance where it doesn't paint the entire picture for this player. Very creative on that left side. Again, I think a bigger club will be looking to get him this upcoming summer window, and therefore I don't think he'll stay at Brighton. But overall, he played a very good season for Brighton this year. Now, following that then, we move into our midfield for West Ham, and none other than Jared Bowden, who, again, no surprise should be picked in this lineup because, again, he was in the runnings for one of the best players this season. Now, his stats were the following: 36 matches played, 12 goals, 10 assists, 141 crosses. He's definitely one of the many reasons why West Ham did so well this year. Obviously, Declan Rice may have been their best player, but again, I think Bowen gets the nod above him in this midfield. Like I said, I could maybe went with Rice, but with the goals and assists this guy had, I had to pick him for this team of the season. Now, following that then, we then move to our first forward, which happens to be Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, Manchester United had just a terrible season, if I'm going to be outright and just say it. They definitely could have done so much better with the players that they signed. Ronaldo, without him, they would have done so much worse. He definitely carried this team, not only in the Premier League itself, but also even in the Champions League and other cup games. Now, his stats were the following: 30 matches played, 18 goals, and 3 assists. Now, 3 assists I know is not much to brag about, but again, he probably should have had a lot more than that. If Bruno Fernandes and a few of the other players actually finished most of the passes that Ronaldo made in the box, he would have had a lot more assists, and I think he would have been in the runnings for probably the player of the season. But like I said, that did not happen, but he makes my list for team of the season. Then going from there, then we look at Arsenal, who fell short of the top 4 position. Now, This again got very tricky because there was different players I wanted to pick for Arsenal, but in the end I ended up going with a CB, and that happened to be Gabriel. Now he had the following stats for Arsenal: 30 matches, 5 goals, 12 clean sheets, 109 clearances. Now him and Ben White I think were a very good pairing this season, so I could have maybe went with Ben White as well for this picking, but overall I thought Gabriel did a better job. He also played a lot of matches and again stepped up for Arsenal throughout many games, had a few goal line clearances throughout this entire season, and therefore I picked him for my CB position. Then after that, we have our top 4. Now this is where, again, I had to look at a lot of goals and see what players were doing, and therefore for Tottenham, I know Harry Kane might have been on everyone's radar, but I went with Son, and there is multiple reasons why, because again, his stats are the following: 35 matches played, 23 goals, 7 assists, 192 crosses. Now, between Harry Kane and Son, these two guys are just magnificent together. They build off each other, score goals and assist one another, and therefore again, you maybe could have went with Harry Kane, but I went with Son because I think he's a better left wing back, or a left forward I should say actually, in my team lineup here, and therefore that is why I picked him. Now following that, we move to Chelsea to round off our defenders. Thiago Silva makes the list for Chelsea, and like I said, this is where it got very tricky because Reece James, maybe Mason Mount could have made this list, but I think Thiago Silva was the rock for Chelsea throughout this entire season. Now his stats were the following: 32 matches played, 3 goals, 171 accurate long balls, 10 clean sheets, 214 recoveries. In order to have 171 through balls completed, that means he has to have 4 or 5 per match. Now, as a CB, that is very impressive. And he definitely was able to break a lot of lines with his passes. Therefore, Chelsea had to have been able to finish a lot more goals, maybe had a lot more assists, and Chelsea would have been a different scenario. But overall, Thiago Silva definitely gets the pick for the top 11 for team of the season. Now, that being said, we have 2 players left, which really shouldn't be too surprising who I'm picking here. But as for our Liverpool player, we're going with Mohamed Salah, who again had a phenomenal season again for another year at Liverpool, and he had the following stats: 35 matches, 23 goals, 13 assists, 60 shots on target. Now, I know at the end of his season, Salah definitely kind of fell off, but in the beginning and up until about December, he was definitely the best player in the league. Then went off to play in the African Cup, and as we know what happened there, they lost in the final, and it almost kind of just dwindled down a little bit, but still played very, very well for Liverpool. Yes, I could have picked maybe Mane or Robertson or TAA, Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk. There are a lot of players, like I said, I could have picked, but again, I was only able to pick one player, and I thought Salah was the player that needed to be picked of this entire 11 for Liverpool. And that rounds off our last player, and no surprise at all, happens to be Kevin De Bruyne, which, again, this one I could have picked a lot of other Manchester City players. I really wanted to pick Cancelo as our left back, but like I said, it was very difficult, and it almost would have been wrong of me not to pick Kevin De Bruyne in this starting 11 with how he's been playing and how they finished this entire season. Definitely is a magical midfielder and therefore deserves to start in this team of the season. His stats were the following: 30 matches played, 15 goals, 8 assists, 180 crosses, and this does not even just reach the tip of the iceberg with how phenomenal this player was for Manchester City and for them to lift the title again with Pep Guardiola, because Kevin De Bruyne, when he's not on the field, Manchester City looks like a whole different team, and therefore, like I said, he had to be in the top 11 team of the season. So that is my list for this. I want to know what you guys think though, so comment down below who you think should have made this, who I should have moved around from each team, because like I said, it's very difficult to only pick one player from each club. So I want to know what you guys would have done, who you would have picked in your starting 11. So comment down below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that. It helps grow this YouTube channel. It helps get this video to more and more fans such as yourself.